everyone, it's Angela here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for spending some time with me again today. To all my new subscribers and of course my long-standing ones, a very big warm welcome. Thank you so much guys for sticking by me. And I hope that you're going to be inspired what I'm going to show you today. Now, I did my journals flip through on the weekend and I had quite a few people. Well, you were all very complimentary, so thank you ever so much for that. But quite a few people were asking me to do a tutorial on an envelope that I featured in there, which was similar to the one that I've got here today. So I had flowers, I had tags at the top and on the sides, and what I've done is I've just used some different source papers. I think the first lot I used was Artie May's for a spring journal that I was doing and some other things. But today I've used some pages from My Porch Prints, which is probably one of my favorite kits of all time, which is the Wildflowers kit. And I'm going to use this in my most recent journal that I'm busy working on. So I've gone with this today. So let's just have a look at what it is. And then we'll get straight on to putting it together. So first of all, I've got it stuck onto the actual page that I'm going to use in my journal. So I've just opened it up. You can see here's the middle here. And I've stuck this envelope onto this page. So I've just done a little bit of stenciling at the tops there. Then I've stuck down the envelope that we're going to make on top of that. But I've only stuck it down the two sides here and across the bottom there, and that enables me to have two pockets at the top here. So I have got a pocket over here, and I've just put on this little dangly bit here. We've got some writing space on the back there, so that goes into that one. And then I've got another pocket on this side with another beautiful image from that kit there, with another one of these little dangles and another writing space on the back there. So that's what we've got for those two pockets. Then I've got two pockets over here. This one's got a bit of a window, so we've got an image on here and some writing space on the back there. So that slides into that one. Oops. And then this one over here is another one of the pockets from another one of the pages from the kit with some writing space on the back. So that goes in there. So you've got four pockets here, and some lovely bits and pieces. So what you could do is, if you had another page, just trying to find something to that would go over this, you would see half of this. You'd have your other page fitting in there, and then you'd see that on the other side. So that's really nice when you're using pages that mix and match with the colors or the sort of theme that you're doing, and it really does work out very well. You could also do this as a center spread. That would also look really pretty, and you'd see the whole thing as it stands just like that. So this is now going to be exciting envelope 21, and we're going to put this together. I've used a bit of recycling here today, so all those mailers I asked you to collect, we're going to use some of those today. All right, so that's what we're going to make. So I hope you like what you see. So let's get to it. Let's see what you need to use. So I'll just take that to the side here. And as far as papers are concerned, I've taken one of these pages from the My Porch Prints Wildflowers collection. So this is one of the collage pages there. Got some mauves and purples here. And then what I've done is I have printed from the same kit, but not the collage pages, the individual pages that come in the kit. I've printed two to a page. So where this is one to a page, I've printed these two to a page. So you would have, well, they would be the same, but it would be one A4 page like that, and you get two of those on, and I've just cut these off. So we're going to use these. We're going to use one of these, and what you need for the envelope is what I have here. So this is just a mailer that has come through the post. It's got a window, although I will be taking the window off. So you could create your own window. You could create your own envelope if you don't have one this size. I'm going to give you the sizes now. All right, so that's what you're going to need to create this. So let's have a look at a couple of measurements here, because I know somebody will ask me. The measurements for this mailer is just short of 9.5 inches, or if you're working in centimeters, you are looking at just short of 24 centimeters. And then the width wise, we are looking at just short of 6.5. So I think you call this an A7 if I'm not mistaken. Then this is just 162 millimeters or 16.2 centimeters. So that's what we're looking at here. All right, so that's a fair size, but that, as I said, will be going across a whole sheet of paper, and I've explained to you how we use that in our actual journal on a page. So let's have a look straight away. I'm going to put these to the side quickly. I'm going to just put this to the side for a minute, and I'm going to start preparing what we need to do with this actual envelope straight away. So the first thing you want to do is, sometimes I'm able to open it up like that, which I have done in this case, but I'm just going to close that quickly, just like that, with some glue stick. Sometimes I slit it with my mail opener or a knife, just depends, but as I need the top to be open here for what I need to do, I'm going to take a very, very thin sliver off the top there. So that is really thin. That's just going to open that. I also am going to do the same on the sides, just these two sides. We're going to leave the bottom connected. So we will just carry on and do that. All right, so let's have a look here now. We've got the top open. I'm just using my knife just to loosen that. Okay, so this should now open into one big sized piece of paper like that. All right, so that's the back, which is going to stick to a page. We won't be covering that, but it now enables us to get to our window really easily. Now, there are a number of ways to do this. But the easiest way for me is, I don't have a template to cut out there. Yes, I could put this on here, measure it and all of that, but I decided no, I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to take off this window. So I'm taking this off here. And it doesn't matter if you break it, because it is very flimsy. So I did try on the other one to take it off gently, but it wasn't working. So I just decided I would replace it, and I replaced that one with a piece of scrap vellum. But I think I'm going to try with a piece of acetate for this one. So there we go, that's gone. And why I want that gone is, just pull off this little piece over here. It's going to be much easier now. All right, so what I want to do now is, we'll take it back to the original state that we have it in. And what I want to do now is just decide where I want to position, which of these images, which part of the image I want to actually capture in my project. So I'm liking all the flowers up there and that side more. Quite mindful of where this envelope's going to be. So I think if anything, I'm going to position it more to get the purple flowers in as much as possible, so maybe not quite to the top. That will mean if I do that, I'm going to see that bit. So yeah, I think that's better than if I move it over and chop out most of the flowers there. So I think I'm gonna position it as far as possible like that. Okay, so let's just close it up again and just hold it where I want it to be, and with my pencil very lightly or slowly I should say, I'm just going to go around my envelope. Okay, and as long as you get it 99% correct, you can always trim it once you've stuck that down. Alright, so there's the piece that we need. So all you need to do now is cut that out. So let's do that. Use your scissors if you've got. If you've got a knife, I like my knife. So yeah, you could use your trimmer if you wanted to, but try not use my trimmer too much. Blades are too expensive. Right, so okay, hang on to this piece because I'm going to show you what you're going to do with that in a bit. That'll come to some good use later. So okay, just take that top bit off. Okay, so if we have a look at it now, that's what the front of our envelope's going to be like, and I think that's really pretty. So what I want to do now is we want to grab this bit again, and we want to just position that carefully and in line with the edges as much as we possibly can. And then what I did was I just took 2 paper clips just to keep that in place, because I'm going to flip this over in a minute. Right, so that's just going to keep that in place. And then what I'm going to do is just turn that over like that. And now we can see where this little window is. And with our pencil, just very slowly, just go around. And mark where your window needs to go. Alright, so you're on the underside of the paper, so it doesn't matter what really goes on there, but at least that way you know that when you cut that out, that is going to be the exact spot that you want it in. Alright, now you can use your scissors. I'm going to use my knife, and I think a knife is the easy way. Now the reason is because I want to use this piece again straight after this, so cut carefully around the sides. If you're going to use your scissors, then you might need to make a hole somewhere, and that's why I'm saying, you know, use a knife. Right, now what I want to do is I just want to very carefully just loosen one of those corners so I can get my scissors in there. Right, so now come here. Right, now I can very carefully go around those corners without ruining this piece of paper. Okay, so we just do that like that on all the sides. Okay, so there we have that perfectly removed. Maybe not so quite so perfect over here. Okay, now it's perfect. So we've got that bit over there, and that will fit perfectly on top of our envelope over there. But now what we want to do is we want to hold on to this piece that we've just chopped off. If you want to, you can just give it a little bit of an ink around the edges. And because I don't want to see that when I take my card out, I am going to just put some glue on the back there. And go to the edges here very close to the edge, let's say, just so that when you put in your journal card, it's not going to catch on the edges when you slide that journal card in, because that can be annoying. Right, so make sure you've got it the right way up, which I think is that way. Yep. And then push it through the window like that, lift it up, and just press that nice and flat. Okay, so that way it gives it a lovely finish, because you're never going to see this, which makes it look a bit, I don't know, I don't like that look. So there we have that in place. Now what we can do is, while the glue's oozing here, is just stick this down. So I'm personally going to stitch the edges in various stages. So I'm not going to worry too much, but if you're not stitching, and you don't need to, then make sure that you glue this down really well. Just stick that down really carefully. Watch your window. There we go. Just like that. Okay, so you've just got a moment to check that you've lined that up properly, and then just press that nicely all around like that. So you would hardly see that there was a piece removed and restuck down. Okay, so we've got that all in place. Now what we want to do is, let's just take a minute and sort out our window, and then we can do some putting in place. So what I want to do here is, I'm going to put a scrap of acetate that I have. Now you can use acetate from packaging or whatever you have. Just need to take that off. Or you can use tracing paper, vellum, whatever you have available. So just have a look what you do have. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just cut a piece to size here. And I'm going to hold it down because it's not always clear when you're working with vellum. So there we go, that's going to go straight down. I'm going to stick it this way, so that, because it's curling a bit. Alright, so I'm going to stick that down. So what I suggest you do, and I've just got some glue oozing out here, so I just want to get that off. Okay, and then again, you don't want this catching on the card, so make sure that you go along the very outer edge of this, just so that there isn't going to be anything that's going to catch on your card. So put this on because this glue is something else. Right, and then I'm going to just stick that down, straight down there, like that. Okay, there we go. So we give that a minute to dry. And while we're waiting for that to dry, it's a good time just to turn this to the front and just give this a little bit of a distressing. Okay, now this bit's showing too much white for my liking, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to trim it off quickly, which is absolutely fine. Okay, you can just run over with your distress ink if you so wish, but there we go, that's gone now. And we can just quickly finish that off like that. So how much or how little you do of this is personal choice. So, all right, here we go. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so I'm happy with all of that. What I'm going to do now is two things. First thing I want to do is, I'd like to, because these are pockets and something's going to slide in here, I can't sew this when these are together like I can when I'm going to sew that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to sew along that side and I'm going to sew along that side. Don't need to worry about this, because that's going to be behind and we're not going to see it. So I'm going to sew there, but I'm also going to do some messy stitching around the window frame there, and that's purely decorative. None of the stitching is a must, it's just what I'm going to do. So we're not going to close this up, we'll get to that in a minute. So let's first stitch around there and I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, so that's what I've done. As you can see, I've stitched a few times around there, around the window, and then I've just stitched down that side there and down that side there. I didn't go further down than that. All right, so we have completed all of that. Now, before I go and stitch it together, there is just one more thing that I want to do, and that is to put on my little ruffle that I did in my other ones. So I found it easier to do it when it was open, and it's this ruffle here which I'm going to just stitch down the side there. So I'll give you a little tip of what I do, and that is I take my ruler, I'm going to put the ruler flat down here where I want it. This is going to be a guideline that I use so that I know I'm going straight. And with my pencil, I'm just going to, which we can rub out if you want to, but you won't see it anyway. You don't have to do this, it's just what I do. Now when I'm going to sew this fabric, I keep that as the edge that I match up, and I keep making sure that the edge of my fabric is the edge of where I'm stitching. Otherwise you can go skew, I found, or I do. So this is what I do. All right, so I'm just going to trim off the end here, like that, and ruffle it a bit before I start. Okay, and now I will go and I will do the ruffle. So it's just a case of making a pleat, another little few stitches, and another pleat, and you go on and on. All right, so when I meet you again, we'll have the ruffle stitched down the side here. All right, so there we have it. You can see we've got our ruffle stitched on there, and you can't even see the pencil line because it's underneath, and that's pretty straight. All right, so that's how I tackle the ruffles, or sorry, when I am stitching. Okay, so let's finish off our page now, and the last thing I'm going to do, so that I don't have to worry about any more stitching, is just to stitch this top line across the top here. All right, so that will be the last bit of stitching that I'm going to do. So all I'm going to do is stitch straight across there. That's then going to seal that closed, leaving two side pockets on the front over there. So I'll be back with you just in a second. Okay everyone, so we're finished with the stitching, so there we have it. So all we need to do now is finish off our decorating, so let's start with that. So what I did was I had a couple of my wildflower die cuts, those Tim Holtz ones, which we're going to just position on this side over here. So I've got two of these that I'm going to sort out on that side, and then I've got a couple of other things. So for example, I have a piece of greenery that I'm going to stick on the side here, and what else did I need to do? Well, here's my greenery. I wondered, I thought that was a bit short. So I've got a bit of this the leaf trim, and I'm going to just position that over there. So let's do that quickly. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue quickly, and all I'm going to do here is I usually start at the base, or one of the sides, and I just put on a little bit of glue with this fine nozzle, which is great. go up 3 leaves like that, and then that way I know that it's going to go where I need it to go. Now this one will go slightly onto the acetate window, which is fine. I like that. I don't like to have prescriptive borders for things. So hopefully this is going to do what I want it to do. So we're going to go across there like that, and we are just going to push that all down, so that's perfect. This leaf's a bit stubborn, so we'll put that over there, and then this one as well. Okay, so there we go. So that's where that needs to be. And then what I've done is I've got a couple of these little paper mulberry flowers, which I got off eBay long ago. And what I want to do is just, oops, my fabric tack fell over. Just going to stick 2 of these down. So I'm going to put one at the top over here, like that. And I'm going to put one, I think, just over here, like that. Let me move that slightly down, so we'll have that just over here. Just hold it down for a bit. Okay. And then I've got these from Hobbycraft, which are these really tiny little flowers. And I often have a problem with this little middle bit not sticking in very well. So we'll give that a press when I press it down. So I'm just going to stick those in the middle. Obviously you can use whatever you have. If you've got a punch that makes these flowers, you know, some kind of a flower or anything else, it doesn't have to be flowers. This is just what I have about. So I'm just using that. Right, there we go. So we've got 2 flowers there. And now I'm going to stick these down. So what we need to establish before we stick anything on this side is where the middle of this is, and that's important. And I know it's pretty much on that line there. All right, so work that out and fold it over so you know where the middle is. Okay, that's important. So I know it's pretty much there. So when you're sticking down flowers on or anything on this side, that you're not going to go too close to that and add bulk. So what I'm going to do is I'm just now having a look exactly how I want to position these flowers, and I think I want to make this one a bit shorter, so I'm just going to take a little bit off there and move that over a bit like that. So let's stick this one down quickly. I hope you guys are all keeping well and making alternative plans for your summer vacation, which nobody can take. I know for us, we can go to Spain, or for example, that's no problem. The problem comes back when we want to come back into the UK and we have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. So that's not going to happen. People aren't going to want to go on holiday for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks and then have to spend a further 2 weeks stuck in a hotel, not able to go out. So I don't think that's going to go down very well. I don't think many people will be having holidays abroad at all, or relatives visiting or anything like that, because to spend 2 weeks in a hotel, which I totally understand why they're doing it, I do, but of course I think that's still going to be a bit of a damper for people wanting to visit. So we won't be having any other visitors around or us going out of the country for a while. Okay, so we've got that done. Now what I did was I just took a piece I think this I got from one of the Calico Collage kits. Can't remember now, but it's got some text about dragonflies and gardens and whatever. So I just want to stick that about over there. And in fact, I think I want to make it a bit narrower. Looks a bit wide, so that's fine. Just do that, and then I'm going to stick this down. Just like that. And we'll not put it over the pretty flower, so we'll just put it above like that. And then I had a little pinky mauve butterfly which I thought would look good over there, so I'm just going to stick that. Sort of masks the join of the two things, so that was perfect. And then of course I've got a little pearl that I want to put on there, so we'll just take this again and I'll just use my knife and put that carefully on there like that. Okay, so let's have a look. Where are we? Right, so we've got those sides all complete, and what I need to do is finish off my trim over here. So I had some of this trim over here, and all I need to do is measure off a length to go onto this piece over here. So just like that. So that's very easily done. And then I would suggest you use something like this fabric glue just to ensure that your lace is going to stay in place. So you can't get better than this. I mean, the art glitter glue does work, but this is my go-to for anything to do with fabric. So we'll stick that down, just put that down over here. There we go. And then with my sharp scissors, just want to cut off the edge there, like that. There we go. Alright, so things are coming along there now. So what we want to do quickly now, everything is looking pretty good there. I just need to stick on my two little flowers. Again, I've just taken two of these paper flowers, put on a mother of pearl button and sewn that on there. So again, I'm just going to take some of this and stick one to each end of my ruffle like that. Make sure it doesn't go too far over. There we go. So there's the one, and then the other on the other side over here, just like that. Okay, so it's all coming together now. Just put the tops on these glues. Right, so let's just check. Have we got everything we wanted? We've got all our decoration in place, and I'm loving that. So all that remains to do now is, if you were going to use this and stick it onto your page, this would be a good time to do that. All right, so for to make the actual various tags, I'm going to talk you through how I did that very quickly. As always, measure to the center here. You can stitch a line down there so that you don't have your tag going over, but because I'm going to sew this into my seam, my signature, that will have a natural spot anyway, so just be mindful of that. I have measured this before, and I know it's, for my envelope, it's 10.5 centimeters or 4 inches, and this way I think was just short of 6, and I think I went to 15 with that. Yeah, So that's what I've done there. So what I did here was I've just taken the sheet of paper, one of those sheets of paper, and I have just measured out 6 inches or 15 centimeters by 4 and a bit, and 10 or 10 and a half, and these are now going to just slide in to the respective pockets. So that one will go in here, just like that, and that's easily done. And then I've just put tabs on the end here because that's always easy then to get it out. That or thumb half circles if that's what you prefer. So those slide into there, and those are those journaling cards. So that looks really pretty, I think, and you can see some of those mauve shades coming through there, so that's perfect. All right, so you will then what you would do is you would turn this over, run the glue along the side there, the bottom and that side there, and stick that onto your page again. All right, so that's what we would do. So if I just reverse that, you would then stick that down and position it with the halfway mark matching up with your envelope like that. And then when that is all stuck down, you would then have the 2 cards that you want to put in at the top. So in this instance, these are the 2 that I've made. These are 3 3/4 or 9.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches. So that's what I've done for that, which is ample space. And then that one would just slide in the top over here, bearing in mind that would be stuck down. And then the same with this side. Now all I've done here is I've made a standard card. Now what I did was I thought I'd show you is I trimmed off these edges here. So let's do that ever so quickly. So you trim off all the edges here. And as I said, I printed 2 on a page for this. If you're not sure how to do that, then you can always go and look at how to make the most of your digitals, which I'll put in below. Now this is perfect because what I've done here is I folded this in half. So we're going to just match up the top with the bottom, and we're going to fold that in half like that. All right, and then what I did was I took a piece of cardboard, so scrap board that I had, I put that in between the 2 here, just like that, and then all I did was I drew a line along the edge here, just like that, and I cut that out. So that's all I did. And that way, you know, you're getting the perfect size. You're not going to have any bits over, you know, extending over the edge, but you do want to give it some kind of rigidity. So that's why I've done that. All right, so now that's going to slide in there very comfortably, just like that. And you just push it up a bit, and that's a perfect size. And then all I did was take your glue, any glue you like. If you're going to stitch it, you know, you can use glue stick, but if you're not, then just use a good strong glue. That's what I would suggest there. And then just do that on both sides of the card. All right, I'm not gluing that too well because with me I do stitch around these, so that way you will have your card. Now it's nice and rigid. This side's perfect for writing notes on. That side will be the front, and if you stitch around it, you will then have something that looks like that. All right, and as you can see, it's lovely and firm. So that's why I did that, and it gives you a nice finish there as well. So, and then it's just a case of, you know how to do this. I've punched a eyelet in there. I've taken a very thin strip of cardboard, and this is where This offcut from the envelope came in handy, because I went and took a piece here times 2, because I've covered it front and back like that, onto a piece of card again, scrap card, and I've just made that little extra piece there. I've used my stamps to stamp on. This is Tim Holtz something notes. What's it called? Let me get it. So this is called Tim Holtz Field Notes stamps. These are awesome. All right, so these little things here I've used quite a lot, and I'm always using them. So one of these really staple buys for me again. So that's what I've done there, and I've done on this one I've done a different one. You can see same thing, round the cardboard, wrapped it round. All right. Sorry. So these slide into these pockets here, just like that, and you've got 4 lovely pockets, and it'll fit perfectly inside your journal. I did make something exactly, or very similar to this, just slightly different paper I had, and it worked wonderfully inside the journal. So we stuck that one down like that, and then your other pages can go on top, or it could be a feature in the middle of your journal as well, in this, where the middle of the signature. So that's what we've done today. So yeah, 2 of those, well, very similar. I've just used a different page on the front here, using those kits. I hope you like that idea. I've enjoyed it. It wasn't too tedious to make. It was pretty quick, really. So give it a go. You can do lots of variations on this as well. So I hope you have fun making this, and thank you so much for spending some time with me to see it through to the end, if you're still around at this point. So thank you, everybody. Have fun, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Bye bye.